How long does it take to burn a pan of wood chips in a Masterbuilt electric smoker? That's the question we're going to answer today. This is Robert with Pioneer Smokehouses, and today we're going to run the Masterbuilt electric smoker with one load of wood chips to determine exactly how long it takes for those wood chips to be burned up. Now, what I have here is a half a cup of the standard wood chips from Smokehouse Products. Now, of course, I have a bunch of different items, but I prefer to use the Smokehouse Products brand, and one reason is because it's consistent size throughout all of their products. Now, their wood chip is their smaller of the two, and then they have the wood chunk, which is actually a little bit smaller than the average from other companies. And I'm just gonna pick this up and drop a little bit in there so you kind of see that. I'm gonna pour this in here, and this is not a full pan of wood chips. But what it is it's exactly the amount that you would get if you use the load tube. This load tube holds about a half a cup if you fill it in there nice and evenly and kind of stack it a little bit. Now, if you wanted to, when you start out, you could put in maybe 2 loads of this, but when you turn it the second time, you won't be able to return it. So you'd want to put in a half a cup the first time and dump it, and then put in a 1/4 cup for the second time, which would fill this up pretty close. Next, we'll talk about the controls. Now, I went ahead and set the controls on the maximum time, and then I set the temperature for 160 degrees. Now, the idea is that we want to preheat it so we get good airflow. I have the tube out and the vent open fully, which is typically how I would run the vent anyway. Next, I'm going to set up my timer on my cell phone here. I have it set to a standard stopwatch app that I've just picked up off the Play Store. Now, we're going to go ahead and we're going to load the tray inside the smoker. I'm going to take the tray down here and insert it right here above the element. We'll close the door. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the temperature to the maximum temperature so that way we can get a constant burn. On this unit, that maximum temperature is 275. On some of the older units, it was 270 degrees. Now, I'm going to go ahead and push start right here, and we're going to let that run. Now, I've got everything going. I've raised the temperature up to 275 degrees, and we're currently at 1.5 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and turn this so that way we can get a better view of it. And let's see. There we go. That should remove all the light so that way we can see it in the close-up cam. I'm going to tell you right now that none of these cameras will work for over 30 minutes straight. And the B-roll camera actually tends to overheat at about 20 minutes, but I'm not sure because it is pretty cold outside today. We're going to go ahead and let this run. We should start to see smoke anytime now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to fast forward it. And right here, I'm going to put an estimated timestamp for when the fast forwarding will end if you want to jump forward a little bit in the video. So I'll see you when the smoke stops. Well, the smoke slowed down, so I went ahead and checked the pan, and it looks like all those wood chips are pretty well burned up. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stop the timer. And I'll go back through and review the video and put a correction right here. But it looks to me like at about 20 minutes that half cup of wood chips was completely consumed. I'll go ahead and pull that back out of here so you can see it. Just put that out here like that. And I'm going to set it down because it is very hot. Now I want to talk about something that might influence the results of this test, and that is that because in a real world situation when you're cooking, you will preheat closer to your cooking temperature. Now this one runs a little off on temperature, so if I tell it that I want to cook at 225, I should probably set it up at 250 because it's about 25 degrees off in the higher temperature ranges. But if I set it like I did at 160 and then I turn it up all the way to the maximum temperature, it's going to burn nonstop. Normally, if I preheated it to 225 and then I inserted the wood chips, it would burn for a little while and then it would turn the element off as it got above 225, and it would do that and cycle on and off, which would extend the burn time to about 30 minutes from the 20 minutes. Now, let me grab some wood chips and we'll talk about that real quick. Now, if you look real close here, you can see that I have Smokehouse Products wood chips, Smokehouse Products wood chunks, and then for this example, I grabbed the Weber, and those are considered wood chips by Weber, but for me, they're kind of in between. So let me grab some of these first, and I'll go ahead and take this glove off. This right here is the wood chips, and you can see that they're pretty small. There's a few little chunks in there, and this is what we use today in this test. And I used alder flavor because I don't use alder for a lot of things, and I always, when I buy an assortment, I always end up with a bag of it. This one here is the Smokehouse Product wood chunks, and you can see that there's not very many small pieces, or like what I would call is more so fiber. Most of it here is going to be chunks like that. This here is what Weber calls wood chips, and you can see that these pieces are a little larger. I'm going to set this right here, and then I'm going to grab two individual pieces. So put the Weber on this side and the Smokehouse Products on this side. And you can see that they're very similar in size. As long as you're consistent and you use the same product all the time, you should be able to adjust what you're doing to match your wood chip. Remember that a larger wood chip will burn slower and basically last longer. But if you want a stronger flavor, you want a smaller, finer wood chip, even like something like Cameron's. Let me grab some of that. Here's the bag of Cameron's right here, and I'm going to go ahead and pull some of that out of there and show you that. And look at that. That is super fine, and I'm just going to go ahead and do this, and it's just like a heavy sawdust. Gosh, I hate to waste good wood chips, but you got to do what you got to do in the name of science. I'll go ahead and set this aside. That works really good for bacon, and that flavor that I just showed you was maple, And that is what I used that bag for on my last smoke, was some beef bacon. And I love beef bacon with maple wood. So I think that we pretty much covered the answer to the question here. And we have come up with, on today's experiment, of 20 minutes. Now, again, during normal circumstances, it's going to last a little bit longer than that. And I will adjust the website to match this result, but your result may vary a little bit depending on your wood chip size and also depending on where you preheat the smoker to and your cooking temperature, because the element turning on and off will make a difference on how fast those wood chips burn up. We burn them at full speed, and that is going to be your shortest possible time. You will never get more than about 40 minutes, no matter what you do, out of a pan full of wood chips in this smoker. I have tested it a million times. No, not really. I have tested it hundreds of times on different things, and to no end, that is the maximum amount of time. However, I do like to let it go until it's completely smoked and add more wood chips afterwards. Some people like to pull the wood chips out before they're completely consumed and dump them out. They say that the wood chip puts off a astringent or different type of flavor at the end of its life. I haven't really noticed that too much. It does change a little bit, but not enough that I think it damages or ruins the food. I think that pretty much covers this test, and I appreciate you watching. If you saw anything you like here, feel free to use the links below. They won't cost you anything, but they will help support the channel by earning me an income. And all of these here, the Smokehouse products, are what I use, and I recommend that you use them for no matter which smoker that you use that needs wood chips. So thanks again for watching, and have a great day.